Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 322, Candid Camera Up. The episode begins with Ash and the gang heading through a desert to Fallover Town, so May could compete in her next Pokemon contest. Though, they soon reached an area in the desert that was so hot, humid, muggy, and just fucking abysmally burning hot. It was just insane that they all began to feel like they were going to pass out. Brock goes to cool himself down by drinking some water from his canteen, though finds out that his canteen, along with Ash, May's, and Max's, were all empty. And they were all still miles away from Fallover Town, so they were bound to fucking pass out, and Pikachu was the first one to pass out, falling over and fainting due to dehydration. May was surprised by this and wondered what was up with Pikachu, as she then fell over and fainted as well. Then Max fainted, then Brock fainted, and Ash tried calling for help, knowing that all of his friends were now fucked, but he was fucked as well, as he passes out last. After all of them were passed out for a while, a Pokemon originating from Hoenn, known as a Camerupt, approached them, and when Ash and the gang eventually woke up, they found themselves in a lodge, having been rescued by both the Camerupt and its owner, Victoria, with Victoria having brought Ash and the gang to the rest of her family, and had also treated Ash and the gang to some food, being bread, as well as some water, which Ash and the gang were very grateful for, as they expressed their gratefulness to the family for rescuing them by sending over Camerupt and giving them this food and water, and explained how they immediately felt refreshed as fuck after this water, since they were out in those dangerous heat waves for a long-ass time in the desert. The family assured Ash and the gang that it was no trouble at all, as they introduced themselves as the Windstraits, with the oldest lady being Victoria, the dude being Victor, the middle-aged woman being Vicky, and the little girl being Vivi. Speaking of Vivi, the young girl seemed to take a liking to Max, as she quickly offered Max an additional bit of water and called him cute, causing Max to blush and nervously laugh, not used to this affection at all. Victoria then elaborates, saying that her and her family were all farmers, and she had seen Ash and the gang knocked out when farming with her Camerupt. Being intrigued by Camerupt, Ash used his Pokédex on it to find out that Camerupt could take heat from anywhere, and essentially nothing was too hot for it. Victor then claimed that their farmhouse here was actually the only house in the area for miles, and admitted that it was rare that the Windstraits got any visitors. Victoria then gets intrigued when she sees that Ash had a Pokédex, and gets even more intrigued when Victor reveals to Victoria, since she couldn't hear what Ash had just said since she was zoned out, that Ash had just mentioned that he would love to use Camerupt in the Hoenn League. So Victoria asked Ash personally if he had plans to enter the Hoenn League, as Ash confirms this, and Victoria reveals that the reason why she was so intrigued by Ash participating in the Hoenn League was because there was actually one more member of the Windstrait family, a guy named Vito, who was also apparently Victoria's oldest grandson. And basically, Victoria was so intrigued by Ash entering the Hoenn League because Vito had left on a journey of his own 2 months earlier with the sole goal of becoming the Hoenn League champion, but he hasn't returned. Although Victoria clarified that they had heard some gossip from people in other towns that they went to buy supplies that Vito was actually a pretty good trainer now. Ash was intrigued by this, stating that he'd love to meet Vito someday and challenge him to see who was stronger. Meanwhile, as for Team Rocket, they were also walking in the same desert. And just like Ash and the gang, the heat of the desert was really getting to them, as they eventually couldn't stumble around the desert anymore, starting to mumble random shit as they ran out of energy, and they all collapsed, fainting, with James fainting first, followed by Meowth, and then Jessie, since Meowth fell into Jessie. Only a short while after Team Rocket passed out, though, a guy came and shook them awake, asking if they were alright, before offering Team Rocket food and water. Team Rocket wasted no time accepting the offer for food and water, and they ate like pigs, feeling a lot better as a result. The man was glad to see who he had rescued was safe, and introduced himself as Vito Windstrait. Though it didn't mention how many family members he had, he only mentioned that he had managed to come across Team Rocket because he was just stumbling by on his way home to his family when he heard that Team Rocket was in trouble, claiming that Team Rocket was very lucky that Vito had managed to spot them in the first place, adding that there was nobody else living around the area with the exception of his family. Hearing Vito to talk about his family so much, Team Rocket wondered why he was wandering around the desert instead of being with his family, leading Vito to explain that he left home 2 months ago with the hopes of becoming the Hoenn League champion after participating in the Hoenn League, adding that he hadn't returned home since he left, since although he had become a strong trainer in these 2 months, he was still nowhere near the Hoenn League champion. Although he explained there was another reason why he wasn't the Hoenn League champion, not just because he hadn't competed in the Hoenn League, but because throughout his 2-month journey, he had realized that he really wanted to raise Pokemon and take care of them, as opposed to battle them a lot. Vito then added that he had actually passed by his family's farmhouse, but he was too embarrassed to come home, since he hadn't talked to them in a while, so he felt awkward coming back, not knowing what to say to them after it's been so long. And he also felt awkward coming back, even though he hadn't accomplished his goal of becoming the Hoenn League champion. Basically, he figured that his parents really wanted him to become the champion, so he didn't want to disappoint them by coming back without being one. And he also didn't want to disappoint them with the fact that he had changed his goal from battling Pokemon to raising Pokemon. And James actually had legitimate empathy for Vito, telling him that he also didn't want to fulfill his family's expectations. So, James, wanting to help out Vito and have a better relationship with his family, believing that he should be able to do whatever he wanted, promised to talk to his family after coming up with this idea, struggling to come up with ideas, although Vito argued that there would be no reasoning with his grandma in particular. Meanwhile, back at the Winstraits' house, now that Ash and the gang had basically recovered from their heat stroke that they suffered, they were so grateful for being rescued by the Winstraits, they offered to assist them on their farm if they needed help. Victoria responds by going with the rest of her family to give Ash and the gang a tour of the yard of their farm, and they then reintroduce themselves as the Winstrait family, although this time the old woman Victoria introduced herself as Vicky, and the younger woman introduced herself as Victoria. Ash questioned why this was the case, leading Victoria and Vicky to reveal that since they were mother and daughter, they just like to mess around with each other and change their names every now and then, basically swap them around. Ash then questioned why the Winstrait family had reintroduced themselves, leading Victoria to state that they like to reintroduce themselves since they wanted to challenge Ash and the gang to a battle, explaining that they were all very good Pokemon battlers, and they also proposed a 4-on-4 Pokemon battle since there was 4 of Ash and the gang and 4 of them. Ash and the gang were immensely surprised, as they didn't picture the Winstrait family as intense battlers, but nonetheless, they accepted the challenge. Victor then mentioned that Ash and the gang were lucky that their son Vito wasn't here, since he had left, but was extremely powerful, suggesting that he was probably an Elite 4 member at least by now. So, the Winstraits believed that Ash and the gang were definitely making a wise choice, accepting the challenge, since Ash could use another Winstrait family member as training in case Ash ended up running into Vito at the Home League. Brock then questioned why the Winstraits wanted to battle Ash and the gang in specific, leading Vivi to reveal that they got bored battling just each other, since no one else came by these parts, so they wanted a new unique battle, adding that they did at least used to battle against Vito, but even that got boring. So, with all the introductions out of the way, Vicky stated that it was time for the 4-on-4 battle to begin, but Ash butted in, explaining that Max wasn't a Pokemon trainer yet, since he was way too young. However, Max, wanting to participate, suggested that he could just borrow one of Ash's Pokemon, and Ash permitted this for this one time. With all of that sorted out, the Winstrait family escort Ash and the gang to their battlefield that they had constructed in their backyard, and Vicky encourages her entire family to win in Vito's honor. As Ash, May, and Max examined the stadium, impressed by how the Winstraits had built their own bleachers and lights to go with it, Brock commented that the Winstraits sure were hyper as fuck, being able to cheer as loud as possible, in order to declare that they would win for Vito. Anyways, it was now time for the first battle to begin, as Vicky stepped up as the referee, and stated that the first round would be Brock versus Victor. Victor sent out his Zigzagoon, while Brock sent out his Mudkip. Brock has Mudkip start off the battle by going for a water gun, although Zigzagoon very easily dodged, and much to Brock's shock, no pun intended, Victor had Zigzagoon use a Thunderbolt, despite it being a normal type Pokemon, which knocked Mudkip out in one hit, forcing Brock to recall it. As Vicky officially declared Victor Winstrait the winner of the battle, making Victor a little embarrassed with how loud that call was made. Ash then wonders how the fuck Zigzagoon could use Thunderbolt, leading Vivi to reveal that Victor had managed to teach Zigzagoon that move, not just to help him counter water and flying type Pokemon, but also so that Zigzagoon could power their power generator since there were no power plants around. Victor then joked how he was very glad he won, otherwise Vicky would have put him on labor for a month. Vicky heard this, but Victor just laughed nervously and claimed that he said nothing at all. Vicky then officially announced that the second battle would be between Victoria and May, so Victoria sent out her Roselia and May sent out a Beautifly. Immediately upon seeing Roselia, May began to get nervous since Drew had a Roselia, and she feared that this Roselia would be as strong. As May continued to think of Drew and his Roselia, Max commented that May seemed to be getting fired up, likely because of her determination to beat a Roselia. May then decides that going with the same strategy that she used against Drew's Roselia would be best, as she had Beautifly use Gust, which pins down Roselia, making it basically unable to move, and allowing May to actually finish off the Roselia and get the win, as Vicky officially declares, with a Silver Wind attack. Victoria recalls her Roselia and shamefully admits that she never wins any battles, which disappointed Vicky, because Vicky had secretly advised Victoria to not use Roselia, but a different Pokemon this round, and Victoria didn't listen. As May and Beautifly celebrated their victory, Vicky announced that the next battle would be Max versus Vivi. Ash permits Max to take one of his Pokemon to battle, just like he said before, and asks him which one he wanted, leading Max to pick Corphish. So both trainers take their place on the battlefield, and Max tells Vivi that this was basically his first real Pokemon battle, with the exception of the thing at the trainer school in like episode 15 of Advanced. But regardless, he said that he would try and do his best, even if it was his first battle, but also asked that Vicky not laugh at him if he does badly. Vivi admits that she wasn't a very experienced battler either, since she was so young, and promised that regardless of who wins, they would still be friends, and asked that Max not make fun of her if she did badly as well, stating that she would probably do badly, since she believed that Max would do good, even if he didn't have any experience battling, making Max blush. And as May saw this, she came to the correct conclusion that Max had a crush on Vivi. Vivi then sends out her Pokemon, Meryl, but Max didn't send out Corphish, since he was too preoccupied looking at Vivi, in love with her, Ash and Brock yelled at him to pay attention, and because of this, he was able to snap out of his little trance and send out Corfish. Max knew that he didn't want to risk hurting Vivi's Pokemon too bad, so he told Corfish to go a little easy on the Meryl, and instead of go in for attacks straight away, simply just use Harden to take the attacks well, to exhaust Meryl from attacking too much. So basically, Max wanted to win without dealing any direct damage. But since Corfish was used to only Ash instructing it, not Max, Corfish didn't listen. And instead, much to Max and Vivi's shock, runs up to Meryl and batters it with like hundreds of crab hammers, knocking it the fuck out. Vicky officially declared Max the winner of the match, but Max wasn't very happy, as he saw that Vivi was crying and hugging her Meryl, upset that it was really injured, and Max was speechless at Corfish's behavior and immediately ran up to her and said he was sorry, not meaning to attack Meryl that hard. Vivi didn't believe Max at all, as she continued crying and yelled at Max through her tears, stating that she hated him. Max was heartbroken by Vivi not liking him anymore, to the point where he started crying as well. Through his tears, Max then returned Corfish to Ash, as Ash tried to cheer the crying Max up, stating that at least Max won the battle, but Max was not happy about this, as May commented that Corfish chopped his heart in half with the battle, so Max shouldn't feel super guilty, since Corfish may have chopped up Meryl, but it also chopped up his heart. It was now time for the final battle, Ash versus Vicky, so Vicky couldn't be the referee this time. At first, Ash took comfort in the fact that the Winstraight family had lost 2 of the previous 3 rounds, so that meant the score was 2-1, so the worst that could happen if Ash lost was it being a tie. However, Ash was determined not to have a tie, as he wanted to win, so he decided that he was going to go for the top and win the battle. Meanwhile, as for Team Rocket, James had practically forced Vito to go over to the Winstraight's house, since he was still confident that Vito could talk to his grandmother, Vicky, about Vito not becoming Horn League champion, stating that if Vito couldn't make her see that Vito had other goals that were more important to him, then James would help him out. Vito just stood there, wondering what his next move should be, as he was too nervous still to talk to his grandmother, so James got the help of Jesse, and the two of them, along with Meow, cheered that they were going to do everything in their power to help out Vito. However, Vito simply told them to be quiet, not wanting to alert his family yet. Team Rocket obliged, as they quietly peeked in the window of the house with Vito, only to see that the house was empty. Team Rocket asked where they could be, leading Vito to state his assumption that he knew without a doubt that his family was probably on the battlefield if they weren't in the house, as they battled all the time. So with that, Team Rocket and Vito went out to the battlefield, and when they got there, Vito in fact saw his family, though told Team Rocket to hide behind some rocks with him, as he didn't want to reveal himself yet. So they do, and Vito was shocked as he saw his family battling against Ash and the gang. He assumed that his family would just be training together, since there usually wasn't visitors around the place. Ash and the gang were also recognized by Team Rocket as well. Team Rocket and Vito continued to watch as Brock took the repping position, and the battle between Ash and Vicky began, with Vicky sending out her camera up and Ash sending out his Pikachu. Team Rocket complimented this camera up, saying that it made Vicky seem like a strong trainer. Ash then opened up the battle by having Pikachu use Thunderbolt, and although it was a direct hit on Camerupt, since Camerupt was a ground type, the Thunderbolt had no effect. Max informs Ash of this, and this leads Ash to change his strategy and instead have Pikachu use a quick attack. And this also hits Camerupt and actually damages it quite a bit, to the point where it fell over. Vicky really encouraged her Camerupt to get the fuck back up, stating that it had to win in Vito's honor and show him his strength, suggesting that Camerupt act like he was watching. Unbeknownst to Vicky, of course, Vito was watching with Team Rocket, and was currently a little bit disappointed in Camerupt, since he expected that his grandmother and Camerupt would be able to beat any trainer really, since they were so strong. But Vito was then both relieved and impressed when Camerupt managed to get back up on all fours after some struggling. Viva, Victor, Victoria, and especially Vicky were all impressed with this as well, with Vicky stating that she was sure Vito would be honored to see Camerupt's current performance. Vicky then orders her Camerupt to unleash a sandstorm from its nose, and it does so, practically blinding Ash and the gang, as well as Pikachu. Although, when Camerupt went to follow up with her takedown, taking advantage of Ash and Pikachu being blinded, Pikachu was able to quickly jump and stop the Camerupt with Iron Tail right in the face. Vito was impressed with the strength of Pikachu's Iron Tail, but also the fact that Camerupt wasn't knocked down by this Iron Tail. Just then, though, Vito, much to Team Rocket's confusion, pulls out a hard hat and puts it on. And the rest of Vicky's family do this as well, and warn Ash and the gang to find cover, as things can get hot really fast. And Ash and the gang were as confused as Team Rocket, so Vicky explained that Camerupt became extremely angry when it was hit right in the face, and it would use Eruption as a result, admitting that this habit was quite bad, but it tended to work out in her favor, since she would usually win a battle. Vito also explained this to Team Rocket, as sure enough, Camerupt's face got all red, signifying he was angry, and it used an eruption, causing ashes to fall all over the place, along with a whole bunch of falling rocks that came out of Camerupt's back, as that's what the eruption was, flaming rocks. Ash and the gang were obviously shocked by these raining rocks, as they all ran away, trying to find cover from all these falling rocks, leaving Pikachu on the battlefield, as he tried to dodge all the rocks while still on the battlefield, but thankfully, Pikachu was able to dodge them all. As for Team Rocket and Vito, since Team Rocket didn't have hard hats, they ended up getting hit by some of the falling rocks, which made them angry and scared that they would get hit by more, so they ran the fuck away before Vito could say anything, leaving Vito on his own to talk to his grandmother, not caring about helping him now, since they cared more about their own lives. Meanwhile, as Ash and the gang were still running away from the rocks, Vicky, who was the only one left on the battlefield, since she didn't have to worry about Camerupt, since she was so used to the falling rocks, saw the smoke that the falling rocks had created clear, revealing that Pikachu was now running away from Camerupt as Camerupt angrily chased it. With rocks still coming out of its back, Vicky warned Ash and the gang, who was still running away, that once Camerupt was angry, it couldn't be stopped easily, admitting that this was a bad habit, but it was something that she couldn't control, and it was good for her in this case, because the angry Camerupt continued to chase after Pikachu, as Pikachu tried to run away, but Pikachu couldn't seem to get away, as Camerupt got faster and faster, although Pikachu got faster as well. But just then, as Camerupt had gone completely apeshit angry at this point, out of control, Pikachu quite literally stumbled upon a ledge, and as a result, he fell to the ground, and since Camerupt was too out of control to even look down to see that Pikachu had fallen, he just simply continued walking over Pikachu. Although when Camerupt feels Pikachu on its feet, it quickly jumps, so it jumped over Pikachu, didn't injure it by running over it, thankfully, but Camerupt didn't realize that it had missed Pikachu, so it still ran out of control, and happened to run right towards the Windstraits family's house and their garden of crops. The crops were the Windstraits' life's work, so they were all terrified that Camerupt could destroy the crops, so Ash and the gang decided to help by going after the Camerupt with them in an attempt to stop it, although Camerupt was too fast. Vito, still behind the rock, saw that his family and Ash and the gang wouldn't stop Camerupt in time, so he decided to send out his Alakazam to assist by using Rain Dance, with Vito's helmet falling off in the process. Although, thanks to the Rain Dance, which was unleashed by Alakazam spinning and releasing a blue light from its spoons, which turned into rain, calmed down Camerupt's anger and put out all of the flaming rocks, stopping Camerupt's eruption as well. Camerupt wondered why it was by the crops, although it slowly walked up to them and just sniffed and nibbled at them, which was a far better alternative than all of the crops being trampled. Vito congratulates his Alakazam on a job well done, as Alakazam smiles, and he continues to hide behind the rock with Vito, as Vito was still too scared to go talk to his family. Just then, the rain from the Rain Dance dissipated, and Ash and the gang and the Windstraits debated where the fuck the rain even came from, despite no one being able to figure out where the rain had come from. Everyone soon just shrugged off trying to find out the reason, dismissing it as just coincidental luck, and Ash stated that because of this occurrence happening, and therefore stopping the battle, and he thought that the battle should be a draw, since Camerupt was now too weakened by the rain. Although Vicky stated that Ash should take the win for this battle, since technically Camerupt was down first, since it happened to rain, and Camerupt was weak to the rain. Also, Vicky was just extremely grateful for the rain, and was just in a good mood because of it, since it stopped the crops from being destroyed, so she was just in a mood to give out wins, and Ash proudly took the win. Meanwhile, back behind the rock, Vito was pacing with his Alakazam, wondering if he should come up behind the rock and surprise his family. Although he was pacing, thinking so hard that he accidentally almost tripped and hurt himself. As he was thinking of coming out to surprise his family, he remembered how Team Rocket had left him after promising to help him, and he wondered where they were, when suddenly he spotted Team Rocket in their Meowth balloon. And he also noticed Team Rocket then do their motto and reveal themselves to Ash and the gang, as they used a mechanical hand to take Pikachu. Pikachu quickly tried to escape, but Team Rocket just laughed, explaining that as usual, the hand was electric-proof. Vito was shocked to realize that Team Rocket were actually evil, not good like they said they were, and he was even more shocked to hear Team Rocket announce to Ash and the gang and his family that he was actually on their side as a part of Team Rocket, and had led them to the Windstrait house so they could capture Pikachu. Vito's family was obviously very shocked to hear that their son had joined a seemingly criminal organization like Team Rocket, and were also shocked at the fact that he was even in the area at all. Vito was angry at Team Rocket for not actually wanting to help him this whole time, and instead just wanting to catch Ash's Pikachu, and Vito also felt bad for Ash and the gang and Ash's Pikachu, since it was technically because of him that Team Rocket had been led to his house, since Vito had happened to walk by the house, leading Team Rocket there. So, Vito decided to take action and try and stop Team Rocket by having his Alakazam use Psychic, which destroyed the arm, allowing Pikachu to fall straight into Ash's arms, leaving Ash and the gang, the Windstraits, and Team Rocket confused, as Alakazam was still hiding behind the rock, so they couldn't see it and where the Psychic had come from. Then Meowth simply just pressed another button in the Meowth balloon, releasing yet another mechanical arm, trying to take Pikachu again. And as Ash tried to protect Pikachu, Vito was determined to not let Pikachu get captured again, so he quickly thought of an idea, sending out his Swellow, which was the evolved form of a Tailo, to use a very strong wing attack to destroy Team Rocket's Meowth balloon and send them blasting off before they could capture Pikachu. Upon seeing the Swellow, Vicky recognized it as Vito's and informed Ash and the gang that a gentle soul must have helped them out. And upon hearing this, Vito knew that Vicky was talking about him, since she tended to call all of her children gentle souls, and knew that she must have recognized his Swellow. Although Vicky was in such a state of disbelief after seeing the Swellow, not believing that her grandson could actually be nearby, because she believed that he was probably training. When Ash heard how Vito was spending all this time training, he really wanted to meet him, and Vicky encouraged him to say hi from her if he ever did meet him, and also gave him a message, which was that she loved him and had a lot of faith in him, and gave him her best wishes, also stating that she was sorry for pushing Vito to become a Pokemon champion, stating that she wanted only the best for him, revealing that she knew that their family was kind of forceful with forcing him to be a champion, and she thought this whole time that maybe the reason why he wasn't coming back was because he didn't want to be a champion. So She wanted to pass on the message that it didn't really matter to them if he did become a champion, and his family would support him no matter what, and it would encourage him to chase whatever dream he wanted, whether that was being a champion or not. Basically, Vicky didn't want to force her grandson to do something he didn't want to do, and wanted to let him know that his family would support him with no matter what his dreams were, so long as he fulfilled something. Basically, they didn't want him to be a useless prick, but so long as he was doing something, that's all that mattered. Unbeknownst to Vicky, she had been talking so loud that Vito had actually heard her from behind the rock, and was very thankful for his grandmother's words. Although he realized that he couldn't reveal himself to his family just yet, because he wanted to at least make his new dream come true of being able to take care of Pokemon, and then he would come back to show them. So Vito decided not to greet his family, and instead leave to continue on his journey, now with the goal of caring for Pokemon, before he would show his family his progress. With Vito gone, the episode then ends as Ash and the gang say their goodbyes to the Windstraits, and the Windstraits say their goodbyes back, but not with your typical goodbye. No, they put on their hard hats again, and Vicky ordered Camerupt to use Eruption as a nice send-off for Ash and the gang, but this just made Ash and the gang run away screaming, not wanting to be hit by Camerupt's Eruption, managing to run away just before the Eruption got off, shouting one last goodbye as Camerupt got angry to fire off the Eruption, and Ash and the gang were able to avoid it and continued on to Fall Arbor Town.